All right, let's look at political parties. So political parties, right? Political parties are basically the candidates running for office align with one of them. All right, parties have three parts. There's the electorate, right? Remember, the voter, you, the person registered. It's also an organization, okay? And then it's also people in government. So the function of parties is that they nominate candidates, they run for campaigns, they give cues to voters, they articulate policies, they create this thing called, right, a platform. Um, and then we coordinate policy making within the function of the parties, or also tear each other apart and destroy family relations. You know, maybe an additional point now. So the function of parties are going to sponsor grassroots mobilizations. They're going to go knock on doors and get people energized to support a candidate or a proposal. Okay. Parties are also a linkage institution. Okay. They connect citizens with government. Okay. So really important that you understand linkage institution and the role of parties in that, right? It makes the citizen feel like, hey, I'm connected with and I have this link to the government because I worked on this campaign. I'm involved in this party. I've done these things. I'm connected with government. So let's look at the party in the electorate. Okay. Registered for a party. Okay. Likely going to vote for its candidate, usually. All right. There's this thing called ticket splitting, okay, and this is where voting for candidates of different parties. This is where, right, again, we kind of go back to the conscience. We're voting for what's on your mind versus just your party affiliation. All right. So voting for candidates of different parties, really what this does is it results in a divided government. And what you need to remember and understand about divided government is it's a word, phrase that you need to know and love and use frequently in the FRQs because it describes essentially, right, when we have one party having the majority in one chamber of Congress, and maybe they have both chambers of Congress, okay, but the president is of a different party, or maybe one chamber of Congress and the president is of one party, and then there's the second chamber of Congress, which is of a different party, right? So let's remember in 2018, we had the Republicans held the presidential office, right? We had the Republicans had the majority in the Senate, and we had Democrats who had the majority in the House, which explains why nothing got done, or also explains why there's more executive orders being made because you can't pass legislation with a divided government. All right, so let's look at weakening national parties, okay? So the Pendleton Civil Service Act is really important. It led to a merit-based civil service, and it diminished party power. So you couldn't just get a job in government because you supported and gave money to a candidate, right? So national parties are kind of weakened, all right, because of this Pendleton Act, right? State and local parties, not so much. Okay, you can still get your perks there. But the Pendleton Civil Service Act is going to weaken national parties. So, right, I can't be like, hey, I really worked hard on this campaign. I gave you lots of money. I got all my friends to vote for you. I want a position somewhere in the executive branch. Okay, that's not how it works anymore. So parties and how they target voters is through communication, right? Social media, mailers, okay, voter data management systems. So each party has their own data management system that looks at who's registered, how often they vote, right? And everything else about them. Where do they fall in the demographics, etc. And then there's also campaign consultants, right? So these are people who consult, maybe give advice on certain aspects of a campaign or who in a certain area that campaign should really go after because that platform issue or that person's going to speak to a certain demographic. Okay. And then the purpose really of all of this is to disseminate, control, and clarify the political message, right? It's really streamlined. Okay. It's also big on mobilization, right? Getting volunteers, getting people engaged, getting people out there, getting the signs in the yard, all that kind of stuff, and also raising money, right? It's appealing to them to raise money, which is so easy now because you can do it on your phone right after, a primary debate where you say, I like that person. I'm going to go give them money. All right. So parties, they target you for this. All right, we already kind of talked about this, so I'm going to go fast. A closed primary, remember, voters must be registered for the party to participate in the primary. An open primary is that independents and the specific party registrants can participate in the primary, and then a caucus is a meeting of the voters. All right, primaries and caucuses tend to weaken national party organizations. Okay, there's just a system of control that's lost there. So let's look at party organizations. We have the platform, okay? We have nominating conventions, right? And then relative to other countries, our national organizations are a lot weaker, okay? Take a comparative gov class, all right, and you're going to see that oftentimes their organizations and their systems are a lot stronger because they really can focus in and cater on a certain group of people versus we are a two-party system, so you have to have a very wide net to appeal to us. So let's look at the evolution of parties, right? There are regional realignments, okay? Campaign finance laws. There's changes in communications and technologies. So remember in President Obama's first campaign, they really utilized social media for the first time. It was a huge push. And so then everybody was like, whoa, wait, we need to do that too. And so then since then, right, every candidate has a major push with technology as far as social media. And then we're going to have changes in data management technologies, kind of how we can group people, filter people, stream people, etc. Okay. So let's look at this realignment. There's party eras. There's eras where certain parties really hold the power and the appeal to people. Okay, this is when they win most of the elections, right? Because their coalition is bigger. All right. And then there's critical elections. All right. And these are when the electoral earthquake, right? Where new issues and new coalitions emerge, beginning a new party era. We might be in the midst of one right now, right? In 2020, especially with Georgia turning and flipping and electing 2 Democrats to the Senate. That's huge because of the voter turnout shift, right? Because of the issues, because of these new coalitions. But will it last? Time will tell. All right, so realignment, really, okay, you guys need to remember is the shifting of groups in a coalition, usually before a critical election. So these groups leave one party and support the other party, right? So Reagan really got a bunch of Democrats who left the Democratic Party, right, Union people, and voted for him, right? Trump got a lot of people who did not like that Hillary Clinton got the primary, and they were angry at that. So they were former Bernie Sanders supporters, so they voted for Trump. So there's this realignment. And then there's the de-alignment, right? And this is a shift away from the 2 major parties, all right? And it's the rise of an independent voter, which third parties, I'll just say, ruin all of our elections. It's just a reality. Okay, so third parties rarely win in national elections. Maybe state, maybe local, but national elections, not so much. They do bring new groups and people into politics, so this is definitely a thing, okay? Major parties then tend to incorporate third-party agendas into their platforms, okay? So kind of remember that. The electoral systems, right? We are a winner-take-all system, period, the end, no more. If you get the majority, you're the winner, okay? This is the first past, right? The post, right? The idea is that you won it, you have the majority, so therefore you get the win. So legislative seats are awarded only to the first place finishers, right? If you had 2 votes more than your opponent while running for House of Representatives in your state, you won it. You got it. It's yours. Okay. Same with the Senate. All right. Then there's the proportional representation. Okay. And this is where legislative seats awarded based on percentage of votes received by a party. That's not how we work, right? That's Europe. Okay. So update your vocab, get this stuff in your notes. Be sure to answer the questions in your note taker. And until next time.